And I also need to point out the fact that you are navigating the world as a black man. I and other black women are not navigating the world in that way. We are navigating the world between two different intersections of race and gender. So what you're going to see is not going to be the same. If you want me to be so honest right now, there's been many times in my life where I'm wearing my afro out. I've had braids, this, that, and the third. My hair is completely natural, and I've still been mitigated, I've still been criticized, and I've still been discriminated against. As a black man, you do not understand the intersections of being a black
I just wanted to know the story about the white people that discriminated against you. I just wanted to know that.
I was trying to explain it, and you cut me off.
No, I asked you. Like... Oh! What is the most beautiful trait of a white woman?
A white woman?
Yeah, like the most beautiful physical trait of a white woman.
Her hair.
Why do you say that?
Because sometimes they know how to keep up with it, so it's nicer.
Okay. What do you think?
I say the same thing. Her hair is really pretty.
Okay. What is the most beautiful thing about a white woman?
You came up to me on my black ass day to ask me what's the most beautiful thing about a white woman?
On your black what?
On my black ass day, the great day that the Lord has made.
Yes, today is a nice day. Yeah. I just want to know. I'm trying to see like what is the most beautiful thing about a white woman, if you know.
I'm trying to think of personal white women that I know. Some of them have empathy.
Empathy?
Empathy, yeah.
What would you say the average black woman would think the most beautiful thing about a white woman is? Would you also say they would say empathy or something else?
Probably something physical.
Like what?
I don't really know.
Most black women don't want to say it, but I feel like you guys should be saying their hair, since, you know, black women straighten their hair. They wear 613 bust downs and blonde wigs.
You see me with a 613?
Well, not you. So that's what I'm saying.
But like most of the hair that people emulate are not white people's hair.
Are you
It's
sure?
limp and it has no volume.
White people's hair.
Statistically. And if they're gonna add volume into it, they add clip-ins and extensions for volume and length. So if we're really talking, it would probably be Asian women's hair, not white women.
We live in a European society, so that's what they're trying to look like. Like, we don't see Asians and Indians on our TV screens all the time. We see white people in the magazines.
That's the hair that they buy, not white women's. White women's hair is usually, like, they have to add things for it to have volume and shape.
Well, what about Brazilian hair? That's white women's hair.
Brazilians are the most mixed people on earth and mostly black. So the people that have that type of hair in Brazil usually have some type of African or indigenous ancestry that gives their hair that volume.
Yeah, but when we look at the traits of the different races, black people have woolly hair, curly hair, hair that goes up towards the sky, and then Europeans have their hair that falls down. So if we're taking the characteristics from a different race, we can say that the hair that they have is coming from the white race or the European race and not the black people, because we don't grow hair like that.
Not necessarily, but I do feel like it's more of a stylistic choice because I see a lot of black women embracing their natural hair and having different hairstyles like her and I.
So how do we get more black women to be just like you guys? Because you guys' hair looks nice.
Maybe not projecting any negative stereotypes on black women's hair and giving them more access to cheaper products for natural hair care. Maybe making it less unseen to have black women who are professionals or considered beautiful, like models or celebrities, wear their natural hair out.
What do you mean by negative stereotypes about black women's hair?
Of black women's hair just in its natural state, like in an afro. If it doesn't have like a ton of product in it or a certain type of curl or coil that's acceptable or a certain length, it's usually looked at as unkept. And black people usually police each other as like, oh, your hair looks a mess, or when you're gonna get it done. So maybe if we just embraced the way that our hair grows out of our head and actually had some time and funds and resources to actually take care of it, I feel like black women would be a little more comfortable with wearing it out.
I can't really say anything to that. All I gotta say is hallelujah, it's Sunday, the sun's out. I appreciate that message. Nice to meet you. You have a great day. What is the most beautiful physical trait of a white woman?
One of like the most standout characteristics of them that is like, this is like, you're just such a beautiful person, is like their smile. Because their smile just looks so genuine.
Their smile, so like their teeth?
But it's like, I don't know. Also because like I know them, it's like they're genuine. Like I just get the energy, like they're genuine.
What about their hair though? Isn't that a physical trait that a lot of black women should say, yeah, that's beautiful? Just because like black women kind of wear their hair, things like that?
I don't think black women wear their hair.
Well, I mean, Brazilian hair is white people's hair.
I don't think that's necessarily like your black women are wearing white women's hair. I guess in that same vein, like white women who wear wigs, like whether or not like it's a straight wig, a kinky curly wig, they're wearing other women's hair. They're potentially wearing a black woman's hair. So
hold on,
what are we gonna
hold
do
on.
with that?
Whenever has a white woman wore any type of black woman's hair? Like when?
The Jenners, the Kardashians.
They wear black women's hair? Or you mean hairstyles?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, they do wear black hairstyles. That's true, but they never put a black woman's actual like texturized hair in their hair. Like you'll never see a white woman with an afro wig or like a 4C curl.
But you do, even if it's like a looser curl pattern. And I have seen white women with like who wear like a 4A, 4B type hair too, like in a wig.
I've never seen that ever.
Well, I have. So, in my opinion, I don't think it's acceptable to say like black women are wearing white women's hair. I don't think that's acceptable because point blank period, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how presentable I look and how my hair presents itself. I'm a black woman, point blank period. My hair is not going to dictate or like hint to you that I'm anything else, because the minute anyone sees my face, they see my features, they see my skin, they're going to say, oh, that's a black woman, point blank period. It doesn't matter if right now I have this blonde lace front on. People are still going to see a black woman.
So even if you're not physically wearing their hair, when you put on a straight hair wig or you straighten your own hair, it's to look like a European.
No.
That's what it is. If we were never colonized, went through slavery, things like that, if we were never trying to fit into the European society, do you actually think black women would even straighten their hair or wear wigs that are straight?
So I'm going to kind of stop you there. I don't think it's a thing where it's like
I'm just trying to
all
block the wind,
time
but
it's like forced, because if we're going to be so honest right now, black women historically in America and especially throughout the diaspora, but I'm going to talk about America just right now. Black women in America have historically always have worn their natural hair. They're the only times where you're seeing black women in these movements where you're seeing a lot of black women kind of changing their hair in a way to assimilate, not because they want to, not because they want to emulate whiteness, but because if they don't assimilate in that way, shape, or form, they are going, the racial violence that they may have been mitigated to, it's way beyond our comprehension living in 2025, point blank period. But there were literally laws because black women who were wearing their hair, it was called the Degain laws in
I think it's
French-controlled Louisiana.
Correct.
Where white women did not like the way how free African women, black women, were wearing their hair.
Correct.
So they forced them to they said you had to cover it up. And then in ways when these black women were still covering up their hair, it was still just seen as like, no, you can't do that. And it actually caught wind. And some of those trends where black women were decorating their heads with like scarves and feathers and beads, some of those trends were picked up and were seen in Europe and France. So I don't think there's ever been a time where it's like black women is wearing white women's hair. And anytime it's like, oh, well, that's the case, we have to think about the history of assimilation in this country and the racial violence that black women have faced because of their hair, because of their appearance, because of what? Colonizers. Not because we chose that. That's how it's always been.
so.
Period.
Everything you said was true, but since today, black women are not going through these things anymore. They're not being.
said that?
Hold on. Really, let me just finish. They're not being suppressed. You're not going to a job and they're saying, oh, your hair's like this, you need to change that. Unless it's like a military job or some type of job where they're cooking, so you have to cover your head or change your hairstyle. But I'll let you go. So we're not being scrutinized, or black women are not being scrutinized like they were back in the day. So like you said, it started from a negative place. Society told you that your hair was ugly, unkempt, it was unmanageable. So then black women started to change themselves, started to straighten their hair, wear wigs and things like that. So really what black moms have been doing for all these centuries is they're passing down a generational curse, and they're saying that, oh, you need to straighten your hair is not beautiful unless you straighten it. So I feel like today black women should be like, okay, that was in the past, now we should all embrace our natural hair, just like this young lady right over there.
So I'm going to stop you right here, right now. First and foremost,
Okay.
My mom is a licensed cosmetologist.
Okay.
So she was braiding my hair almost my entire life before I came here to Howard.
Okay.
And then on top of that as well, I'm a history major. And I specialize in Black American women's history. So what you're saying right now, this is solely opinionated. Point blank, period. Because I'm going to be so honest with you right now, the Crown Act has been turned down time and time again. There is technically no federal law that prevents employers from discriminating black women for their hair. Just because you have not seen it does not mean that is not happening. And I also need to point out the fact that you are navigating the world as a black man. I and other black women are not navigating the world in that way. We are navigating the world between two different intersections of race and gender. So what you're going to see is not going to be the same. If you want me to be so honest right now, there's been many times in my life where I'm wearing my afro out, I've had braids, this, that, and the third. My hair is completely natural, and I've still been mitigated, I've still been criticized, and I've still been discriminated against in professional settings, in academic settings. So what you're saying that...
By who?
Professionals.
Like who, but? Like who?
White people. Point blank, period.
So, but,
black people
okay,
as
so
well. It's not
before you
thing,
continue, let's get into that story. What
but
happened? What
but
happened? I
you're
want to
not
know what
letting
happened.
me talk.
But I want to know what happened, though.
Is that this idea that black women are forcing to change themselves and that this generational trauma is passed on. Yes, I do think that is part of it, but it's like if you as a black man or anyone else who is not navigating the world under these intersections of gender and race with a really with an identity such as being a black woman, something that has not really been focused on and talked about until the past recent decades with black women's studies and black studies, so on and so forth, you're not going to understand. It's not a thing of that my mom instilled this hatred of my hair. My mom has been and has always been, and still now, against me straightening my hair, against me putting a lot of heat on my hair that can break it off. My mom is older, by the way.
So when I said moms, I wasn't talking about you specifically. I'm talking about black women's moms in general.
But you're generalizing, because even still, a lot of the black women that I'm around, whether or not they're my friends, whether or not they're my family, whether or not it's people who I work with, people who I'm interacting with at my part-time job, there are still these things of that's not how it is. And even still, their moms may be operating under the sense of, I've been forced into assimilation, so I'm gonna go, but until you can understand as a black man, you do not understand the intersections of being a black
I just wanted to know the story about the white people that discriminated against you. I just wanted to know that.
I was trying to explain it and you cut me off.
No, I asked you. Bro, y'all see how heated they be? It's I don't know, bro. It's whenever you talk about hair, they get so mad. I do a ton of interviews about different topics: food, race, just general things. Black men smoking weed. I do everything. But as soon as I talk about black women's hair, bro, they get heated. They get so mad, and I do not understand why. Those cars are so annoying. But when she talked about the white employer discriminating against her hair, she was about to continue. That's why I stopped her. I was like, hold on, man, before you continue, tell me about that story where that white employer or those white people discriminated against your hair. Tell me about that. But what did she do? She skipped over it, kept talking about other things, and then when I asked her again, then she walked away. So, I don't know. It's crazy, but it's crazy.